Welcome to the No Guilt Fangirls Podcast, where liking what you like is never a bad thing. Here's your host and head fangirl in charge, Patty Holiday.
Hey, y'all. Welcome to the No Guilt Fangirls Podcast. I'm Patty Holiday, your head fangirl in charge, and this is the Monday Movie Minute for November the 4th. Now, every Monday, we chat about the movies that came out, what we saw last week, what's happening at the box office, what's coming to Disney+. Oh, yeah, I slipped that one in there because that's actually what we're going to be able to talk about today. I have two shows that I'm going to talk about. I saw Dr. Sleep and a preview at the theater, and then I also saw Lady and the Tramp, which is coming to Disney+ on November the 12th. I do have a guest today. This is something different. I don't usually have guests on Monday, but hey, Tania.
Hey, how's it going?
It's good. Now, Tania's with me. She's from LolaLambChops.com. She is straight off a trip to Pixar.
Woo-woo.
Yeah, that was kind of cool. She got to see a little bit of what is it, Outward?
No, Onward.
Onward. Oh, my gosh. I'm the worst. All right. But speaking of special press trips, the reason I have her on today is we were under embargo for a whole year.
Oh my gosh, seriously, I was looking at the date. I think it was early November last year.
Yeah, it was. It was real close to this time last year.
Yeah.
We went on a set visit to Savannah, Georgia to see the making of Lady and the Tramp.
Yay!
Yeah. And we can actually talk about it now and tell you a little bit what it's like to be on the set while they're making a movie. And we've been on sets before. Both of us have been on sets before, and we've done set visits, but we both agree this one was special. This one was really neat.
Yeah, for sure. And it's always weird. Like set visits are super cool, but it is kind of weird to not see any part of the movie when you go visit a set and then watch the movie a year later. It's I don't know. It's kind of trippy, and we'll get into that more.
Yeah. We'll talk about that in a little bit here. So first of all, we were invited by Disney. We went down to Savannah for what was it, like 36 hours? It was a really quick turnaround trip, and it was a fantastic visit to the city. I used to live there, so it was kind of like going way back home.
Well, it was fun because I had never been to Savannah before, and I didn't really know much about it, but it really has that old time feel. And then when you watch the opening scene of Lady and the Tramp, I was like, wow, like I can see how they transform Savannah because it's snowing in the movie when you open it. And, obviously it wasn't snowing when we were there. And so
I don't know that it's ever snowed in Savannah. I don't think or if it did, it was very random, very rare, but it doesn't typically get snow. So that really was an interesting take on things from somebody who used to live there. I was like, oh, looky there. We got snow.
Yeah, but it wasn't super hot. I don't remember when we went. Wasn't it kind of, it was raining.
It was
it was chilly.
It was sweater weather.
I wore a coat.
Yeah.
I wore a coat.
It was sweater weather.
Sweater weather.
Yeah. No. So Savannah was lovely and very hospitable, and it was a perfect setting for what they did with this movie. I thought they couldn't have found a better city for what this movie ended up being. And, yeah. So let's talk a little bit about what we got to do on set and what we saw on set.
So let's see. I'm trying to remember. Oh my gosh, a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
So we went for the day, and there was different sections and things that we saw throughout the day. And one of them obviously was the inside of the house. And so it's not like, when you see the movie, you'll get the outside shot of the house and then, the glimpse in, but that's not what it was that we saw. It's a real set, and so it's a house chopped up in pieces, essentially.
Yeah, and we didn't get a chance to go into the main like the living room area because that was where they were filming the scenes that we watched that day. So we didn't get to go inside that portion of the house, but we did get to go up to Lulu's nursery.
Yeah,
and it was so cute. It was just precious. And Jim Deere and Darling's bedroom, we got to see that. Yeah. And we also had some great interviews too. We talked to the set designer which funny enough, he was coming off of doing Mary Poppins, and Mary Poppins was about to come out. Mary Poppins Returns. Do you remember that? He kept wanting to talk about Mary Poppins.
Oh, yeah. I think it was under embargo and stuff, too.
Yeah.
So we're like...
Okay. But, he was very proud of his work, and it was awesome. So it was kind of cool to hear everything that was kind of going on and how he came up with these things. Now, we'll have those interviews on both of our blogs later on this week. So you're going to want to go check those out if you're into things like set designing, if you want to hear about the dog handler, if you want to talk to the dog catcher. And then, of course, we talked to a couple of the people stars as well. But I think the highlight for us, well, there was probably equal highlights for Tania and I. We were excited and ecstatic when they said we were going to actually meet the dogs.
Yes. So if you're a dog lover, you'll love this movie.
Yes.
Because I think, especially lately with all of the remakes of the animated versions of Disney movies, I think, so I'm trying to remember, because it's been like boom, 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 boom lately. And so when we went to this last year, we hadn't seen all of those yet. And so this was still kind of not really a novelty idea, but I was like, how are they going to make this movie? Because it's a bunch of animals, and you always hear that the hardest people to work with are children and animals. So I was like, how are they going to do this?
And what they did differently with this one than, say, Lion King. Lion King was all CGI created animals. Lady and the Tramp, they used real dogs, real animals in the movie. And then, of course, they CGI'd certain parts, and they used some CGI when they had to talk to us, because the dog trainer was really amazing, but I'm not sure he could have had them talking to us on cue. But yeah, it was interesting to see, because we saw part of what they were talking about with the CGI. So there was this big blue tarp, for lack of a better word, set up over on one side, and that's where they had the dogs running. That was where they were filming all of the running shots, and they said that they had certain dogs, like they had multiple ladies and they had multiple tramps for doing different things. And so that was where like the running Lady and the Tramp would come running down this blue tarp, and then they would film it.
Yeah, it was almost like a ramp. It looked like a skate ramp.
Yeah, it was kind of crazy. So they would film that, and then they would, obviously the background magic would get put in to have the running scene, happen behind them. So that was neat. We also saw the alleyway. Remember when? I'm not going to tell you guys the part, but there's a part in this movie. I feel it's hard to talk about Lady and the Tramp because, well, that's the real quick review from Lady and the Tramp. It's very true to the original story as far as storyline is concerned, the basic storyline. Wouldn't you agree that they kind of kept the same story in place?
Yeah, I think so, for the most part.
Okay, why do you disagree? Because you sound like you have different thoughts on that.
I just think, no, as far as story is concerned, yes. But when you watch it, you'll see what the things that they kind of changed. And some of them being the more famous things, like the song from the Siamese Cats, and
that was a big change. Yeah. They also,
but I don't disagree with that.
Right, exactly. They did change that song, and that I think will be the biggest change that people will take away from. They also changed. I don't want to say they modernized it, because that's not exactly what it is. It's still set like in 1910, but they definitely, Darling has a different outlook on life. She's acting differently than I feel like Darling acted in the original movie.
Yes, for sure. And that's exactly it. Like, I wouldn't call it modernized, but it doesn't have a complete 1910 feel to it, especially because, it's an interracial couple as well.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. So, part of the changes that they made, they felt like if they were going to do this again, they were just going to make it more diverse and multicultural. And everything about this movie seems inclusive and positive from that aspect. And I liked that version of it. It was kind of like watching, I don't want to say it was watching 2019 in 1910 10. That's not exactly what I mean, but it was nice to see that they made that choice to do that. And then, so we got to meet the dogs, and Lady came in, and I think there's a picture of me, and I just look so stupid because I'm like, oh, it's Lady. And she was so soft and so sweet and such a very good girl, very good girl. And then we met Tramp, and he was laying on the ground, letting me rub his stomach. And I mean, he was a good boy too. A lot of fun.
Yeah. So the dogs that we took pictures with were Rose and Monty.
Mm-hmm. And they are like, what'd you call them? The face dogs, the main dogs that were used in the movie. And so we got to meet them. And then we spent a lot of time with the trainer, and he explained how they found the dogs, how they were able to train them and, teach them to do the things they wanted. And also that we could not put our name on the waiting list to take a dog home because they were all spoken for. All of these dogs were rescue dogs, and they went out across the world and, found the dogs with the looks that they wanted. And then they tested them and determined that they could train them. And that's what they used. And I thought I think that might be my favorite part of the whole remake story, is that they used these rescue dogs instead of going out and getting, trained professional dog actors. Yeah.
So the head animal trainer is Mark Forbes, and he was the nicest guy. And, has done a ton of other work with animals in movies. But yeah, no, I agree. I love that they had rescue dogs. And didn't Yvette Nicole Brown adopt one of those
Yes,
dogs?
I think she ended up going home with one of them. I can't remember if it was a lady or who she ended up with. But yes, I remember seeing that story. Let's talk about her. Because this was also one of the, highlights of the set visit for sure. But I mean, even all of my she made an impact on me.
Yeah.
So we got a chance to talk to both. First of all, we got to watch the scene, the scene that we saw, and they must have done it 20, 30 times, was the baby shower scene where Aunt Sarah comes in and sits down. Lady jumps up on Darling's lap, and, chaos ensues, right? So we got to actually interview both of the ladies, both of the stars. I can't call them ladies because that confuses you with the dog. So we got to Kiersey and Yvette Nicole Brown, and they both came over, and they were both just wonderful to talk to, and they were kind enough, like they were on their break, and here we are going, oh, by the way, answer our questions.
Yeah.
But what was it about her that made you cry, Tania? Because she made you cry.
I mean, people always make me cry on these visits.
They do.
She was just, she was just talking about all of this positivity, and like how she just having this fantastic attitude about being grateful for everything. And she just had this light about her, and this attitude about never being mean or rude to people, even when they are to you, and not stepping on people in this industry to get ahead. Like she would rather not get a role or not be quote unquote an A-lister if she has to step on somebody to get there. And it was just a refreshing attitude, especially in this industry when it feels like there's so much competition, and you do have to be that kind of villain to get ahead. When she's like, no, whatever, I got better things to do with my time.
Yeah. She really was open and honest, with what she was doing and why she was there. And they were also cracking me up. Somebody asked, what's your method, or how do you get into this role? And she said something along the lines of, this is my biggest acting job ever, because I have to act like I hate this dog and I love this dog. And between scenes, she'd like push Lady away and be all mean to her. And then she'd be like, come here, baby. And she like hold this baby. And then Kiersey was super, super cute. She's young. She's like, I think they were saying she was 24. And apparently she just took to the babies. She was the baby whisperer. So they had triplets on set that they were acting with in the scenes when Lulu is born and they have her there. And they were like, oh gosh, you just put that baby in Kiersey's arms, and she wouldn't put her down. And she was like, I just tried my best. But she's like this natural born mother, and she could just, hold and rock the baby the whole time. But yeah, we have a lot more to talk about as far as these interviews, and you're going to definitely want to come and check out our blogs. Again, that's lolalambchops.com. And I think these posts they'll either be at noguiltlife.com or noguiltfangirl.com. I haven't determined yet which site they're going to live on, but they're going to be at one of the two. But you can definitely follow on Twitter to find those links when I get them out. They're going to come out, I think, once a day for the next week, right?
Yep, every day.
So there's a lot of Lady and the Tramp coming, and you're going to be able to watch Lady and Tramp, the movie, on your Disney Plus streaming service on November the 12th. And we both sat down and watched this movie, and it was a sweet, lovely rendition of a movie that we all already love. I know with Lion King, Tania and I both kind of had issues with the CGI-ness and some of the choices they made with that movie. I walked away with a positive reaction from Lady and the Tramp. How did you feel with this one?
Yeah, I think it was different in the sense that there's real people in the movie, and it's a real place. It's not 100% CGI. And so that's what it is always still weird for me to see animals talk. But I think they did as good of a job as they could in making this realistic, so to speak, with the animals and their mouths moving and stuff. So, I mean, it really was. It's a sweet movie.
It's a very sweet movie. And, parent movie review, Tania, because that's your thing. Will all of your kids see this one? Okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm. There wasn't anything that stood out to me. Even, the big fight scene doesn't seem super scary. All the dog scenes didn't seem super extreme or sad or anything that I would feel like you need a parental warning on. So I felt like this was, pretty solidly G movie.
Yeah. No, I think for maybe younger kids, they might get a little bored.
It's long. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's, what is it? 100, a little over 100 minutes. But the great thing about Disney Plus is that it's not on a big screen, so things aren't amplified like they are in the theater if there are, scenes that are scarier or whatever, and you can easily fast forward. So
and you can also pause and come back later if you need to, which I started writing my review and I thought the same thing. I was like, well, it's too long for little kids. And I was like, wait a minute. This is the glory of Disney Plus is they want to stop and take a nap or whatever. They can go and do what they got to do and then come back and watch it. So,
or go get snacks and come back.
It's all good. All right. Thanks, Tania. I am going to tell these people about Dr. Sleep now. And I know that's
which is the complete opposite.
Complete opposite. And I know that's not your scene. So thanks for stopping in. And guys, don't forget to come read our posts all this week because we want to tell you about these interviews. They were a lot of fun. Thanks, Tania. All right, so Dr. Sleep was the second movie that I saw earlier this week. It comes out on Friday. I think it comes out this Friday. This is rated R, and it is pretty long. This is one of those movies that, I don't know, that might actually be part of my criticism here, is it probably went on a little bit longer than it needed to, in my opinion. This might have held more attention for me if it was about a 2-hour movie, but it was 2 hours and 33 minutes. Rated R, Dr. Sleep. Dr. Sleep is the sequel to The Shining, which everybody loves The Shining, right? Except for Stephen King. All right, so the story behind this is Dan Torrance. We see him immediately after what happened in The Shining, and then we see him years later where he is struggling. He's an alcoholic. He's still traumatized by the events that happened at the Overlook Hotel when he was a kid. And he finally, with the help of a friend that he kind of runs into. He finally finds his way back, and he seems to be doing better. But that shining, that gift that he has him connected with Abra. Abra's a teen who shares this extrasensory gift of the shine, and she needs help. She is kind of navigating her own issues in her own life, and when she connects with Dan, they're I think they're states apart, miles apart. I don't remember exactly where Abra is, but I know that they're not, super close, but they have this telekinetic, connection. So she needs his help. And when that happens, that's when the action and the movie kind of takes off. This was an enjoyable sequel. I haven't read the book. I don't remember that I've read the book, and it's been a long time since I saw The Shining. But this was a worthwhile, if you are a fan of the King's movies, a fan of the King series, worthwhile going to sit down and see this one. The acting is phenomenal. Ewan McGregor is brilliant. The girl that plays Abra is wonderful. The main bad guy is absolutely fantastic. In the bad guys in this movie, I felt like this wasn't a horror movie to me. This was more a psychological, suspenseful thriller level of things. So I can't say that I was scared during any of this. It didn't strike me as that. I thought I might be, and I was a little nervous, but when it started rolling and when the movie started playing out, there were some uncomfortable moments. There were some horrific moments because the bad guys in this movie are basically feeding on and killing children. That part was awful to watch. I cannot lie. That part I was really uncomfortable and didn't like. But the rest of the movie, I never got to where I was scared or I was on the edge of my seat or anything like that. It doesn't get to the Shining levels where The Shining did have that reaction from me. That being said, is this a movie that your teens, tweens, or even younger children should see? I will say I would not have a problem with my older children seeing this in theory. The level of violence and the language that's involved. There's one nudity scene, but it's not really sex. For those reasons, on that level, I would be okay with my older teens or tweens seeing this one. Where I would kind of pump the brakes is if you have a sensitive child is the fact that the bad guys are preying on children, and it's graphic and it's a very awful. I mean, my husband was sitting next to me and he was like, this is horrible. This is horrible. And I just kind of looked at him because he likes weird and he likes creepy and he loves things like Stephen King. And so usually this is not something that he would even flinch at, but he was very uncomfortable with one particular scene. So that being said, if you have sensitive teens, I would say maybe not. Hold off on this. Think about it. Go see it yourself, because you definitely want to know before you send them into this movie. It's also kind of slowly paced. I won't say it was, I can't say that it was an issue with the pacing, like it didn't drag, but it was slow. There were parts where I think we could have moved the story along without maybe seeing it on screen a little bit better. And that's probably my biggest issue, I think, with this movie was just kind of, it was a little bit slow until about the last 30 minutes or so. And that's, when the big reveal happens and things start picking up. And then it rocks and rolls straight on through the end. Overall, I was very satisfied with Dr. Sleep. I think if you like that horror genre or that suspense, kind of thought process, this is a movie that you're going to like. You're going to want to see it. And, it's Ewan McGregor. Can we go wrong with this guy? No, we cannot. So that's it. that's what I have for Monday Movie Minute. Two very different movies, two very different feels at the movies this week. And I do hope that you'll be able to come back and check out some of our blog posts with these interviews that we've got coming on. Get your tickets for Dr. Sleep because everyone's going to be talking about this. And if you haven't signed up for Disney Plus, oh boy, you guys are going to want to do that. Over on my other podcast, which is now streaming Disney Plus, Andrea and I just dropped some preliminary reviews for a bunch of the Disney Plus shows. Now, then they're all non-spoiler, so you don't have to worry about that. We are not spoiling any of these shows for you. But if you had questions or you weren't quite sure what this was about or if it was worth your time, we've got 7 shows and movies to talk about over there. So go give it a subscribe. That's now streaming Disney Plus, and we'll see you at the movies, all right? Thanks for fangirling with me, and we'll be back to fangirl again real soon.